We have been fed a lie, a deliberate deception passed down through generations, designed to keep the poor shackled to their poverty and the wealthy entrenched in their fortunes. This lie whispers in the ears of dreamers, crushing their ambitions before they even take their first breath. The lie is seductively simple. It takes money to make money. We have absorbed this falsehood so completely that we accept our empty pockets as a life sentence, believing that without capital, we are utterly powerless to change our circumstances. But Wallace D. Wattles, that profound teacher of mental science, rose from the depths of his own poverty to smash this lie into 1,000 pieces. He taught a truth so revolutionary that it threatened the very foundations of conventional economics. Capital is not a cause, it is an effect. Wattles revealed that within you right now, regardless of your bank balance, you possess a specific mental asset that is infinitely more valuable than $1 million sitting in a vault. This asset holds such extraordinary power because it does not merely attract wealth. It generates wealth out of thin air, pulling riches from the invisible realm of thought into the tangible world of form. There is a particular kind of pain that gnaws at the human spirit, a pain that many of you watching this video know intimately. It is the suffocating feeling of being trapped in a cage of your own circumstances, holding within your heart a magnificent dream, a vision of what your life could become while staring at the cold reality of zero funds to execute it. You can see your business, your creation, your contribution to the world with perfect clarity in your mind's eye, yet your wallet mocks you with its emptiness. This pain compounds daily as you watch others less talented, less passionate, less deserving, seemingly glide past you on the wings of inherited wealth or fortunate connections. The dream begins to rot inside you, not because it was unworthy, but because you believed the lie that you needed something external before you could begin. Consider the trap that modern society has constructed around your ambitions. We wait, endlessly wait, for the investor who will believe in us, for the bank loan that will fund our vision, for the lottery ticket that will finally set us free. We postpone our lives, placing our destinies in the hands of circumstances outside our control. But Wattles, speaking from across the century, with words that burn with timeless relevance, taught that this waiting is the very trap that ensures you never escape. He declared with unwavering certainty that if you have no capital, you can get capital. And if you are in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. The power you seek has never resided in the resource itself. It has always resided in the source, and that source is the infinite creative intelligence operating through your own mind. What if I told you that by the end of this video, you will possess the knowledge to deploy this mental asset with surgical precision, attracting the funds, the tools, and the people you need to build your empire? What if I could prove to you that starting with zero is not the disadvantage you have been taught to fear, but rather the perfect, pristine starting point for authentic wealth creation? The masters understood that those who build fortunes from nothing possess something that those who inherit wealth never develop, the unshakable knowledge that they are the source of their abundance. This knowledge cannot be lost, cannot be stolen, cannot be depleted by market crashes or economic downturns. Today, you will learn to claim this power as your birthright. What you are about to receive is nothing less than the alchemy of finance, the ancient art of transmuting the base metal of thought into the pure gold of material wealth. This is not metaphor or poetry. It is the precise science of mind that Wallace Wattles codified over a century ago, a science that has been validated by every self-made millionaire who rose from nothing to abundance. I make you this pact, this sacred contract between teacher and student. In this video, you will learn exactly why your mind is the mint that prints the money, the sovereign currency creator that requires no permission from banks, governments, or wealthy benefactors. You will discover the three-step capitalization process that transforms intangible thoughts into tangible funding, a process so reliable that once you understand it, you will never again look at your empty bank account with despair. But I must warn you of something critical, something that even intelligent people fail to recognize until it is too late. There exists a specific attitude toward debt and lack that acts like a hole in your pocket, an invisible drain that bleeds capital faster than you can possibly generate it. You may be doing everything else correctly, holding your vision, taking action, working with faith, yet this single mental error can sabotage your every effort. I have watched brilliant entrepreneurs wonder why money seems to slip through their fingers like water through sand, never realizing that their own thoughts were creating the leak. This capital drain, as I call it, will be revealed in full in part 4 of this video, and understanding it may be the single most valuable piece of financial wisdom you ever receive. Before we proceed deeper into this teaching, I invite you to make a declaration, to plant a flag in the ground of your consciousness that marks this moment as a turning point. In the comments below, write these 4 words. I am the source. This is not mere affirmation. It is a statement of metaphysical fact. You are not waiting for the source of your abundance to appear. You are the source from which your abundance flows. As you type those words, feel the truth of them settling into your bones. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do so now and activate the notification bell, because the teachings we share here are systematically building your capacity to transform thought into reality. Now, let us descend into the foundation upon which all wealth is truly built. Wallace D. Wattles opened the door to a profound truth that contradicts everything mainstream economics has taught you about the acquisition of wealth. He wrote with crystalline clarity that the ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. Notice carefully what he did not say. He did not say that money comes as a result of having money. He did not say that property comes as a result of inheritance, luck, or privileged birth. He declared that there exists a certain way of thinking, being, and acting that inevitably produces financial results, regardless of your starting conditions. This certain way is accessible to anyone willing to learn it, and it operates with the same reliability as the laws of physics. To understand this principle, you must first revolutionize your conception of what money actually is. We have been trained to see money as a physical thing, as paper and metal and numbers in a digital account. But this surface-level understanding blinds us to the deeper reality. Money, in its essence, is crystallized energy. It is thought that has been condensed into form, desire that has been materialized into currency. Every dollar that exists in the world began as an idea in someone's mind, an idea that was held with sufficient clarity and faith until it precipitated into physical reality. The paper is merely the vessel. The true substance is the mental energy that the paper represents. This understanding leads us to a revolutionary insight about the nature of wealth attraction. If money is crystallized mental energy, then it must respond to mental laws. And the primary mental law governing wealth is the law of vibration. Money is not randomly distributed throughout the universe. It is attracted to a specific mental frequency, a particular quality of thought and feeling that acts as a magnet for financial resources. This frequency, this vibration, is what I call the mental asset. It is not a single thought, but a sustained state of being, a habitual orientation of mind that either attracts or repels the flow of capital into your life. Here is where the teaching becomes truly transformative. Consider what happens when someone possesses this mental asset, this wealth-attracting vibration, but currently has no physical money. According to the laws that govern the universe, a vacuum has been created. The inner reality of wealth exists, but the outer manifestation has not yet caught up. Nature, as we know, abhors a vacuum. The universe will not tolerate an imbalance between the inner and outer conditions of your life. Therefore, when you possess the mental asset while appearing to lack its physical counterpart, money must rush toward you to fill the vacuum. It is not optional, it is law. The reverse of this principle explains one of the most puzzling phenomena in modern society: the lottery winner who goes bankrupt. Statistics consistently show that a staggering percentage of sudden wealth recipients lose everything within a few years. The conventional explanation involves financial illiteracy or poor decisions, but these are symptoms, not causes. The true cause is the absence of the mental asset. These individuals received physical money without possessing the wealth-attracting vibration. The universe, ever seeking balance, cannot allow such a discrepancy to persist. The money must leave them because their inner reality does not match their outer abundance. They are buckets with holes in the bottom, No matter how much water you pour in, it will inevitably drain away. This is why Wattles insisted that the mental asset is the only true wealth. Physical money is a shadow, a reflection, a temporary manifestation that can be given and taken away. But the mental asset, once developed, becomes a permanent possession that no external force can strip from you. A person who has cultivated this asset can lose everything in a fire, a bankruptcy, a theft, and rebuild their fortune because the source of their wealth remains intact within their consciousness. Conversely, a person without this asset can be handed a fortune and will inevitably watch it dissolve because they lack the inner architecture to sustain outer abundance. Let us examine what comprises this mental asset in greater detail. It is not a single quality, but a constellation of mental habits that together create the wealth-attracting frequency. First, there is clarity of vision, the ability to see your desired outcome with such precision that it feels more real than your current circumstances. Second, there is unshakable faith, the deep knowing that your vision is not merely possible, but inevitable, regardless of current appearances. Third, there is the attitude of creative ownership, the understanding that you are the creator of your financial reality, not a victim of economic forces beyond your control. These qualities combine to produce a specific feeling tone, an emotional signature that broadcasts your financial frequency to the universe. This feeling is not one of wanting or needing money, which would indicate lack. Rather, it is the feeling of already being wealthy in consciousness, of living in the mental state of abundance while perhaps still awaiting its physical confirmation. This distinction is subtle but absolutely crucial. The person who vibrates with need repels money because they are broadcasting a frequency of lack. The person who vibrates with fulfillment attracts money because they are broadcasting a frequency of abundance, and like attracts like in the mental realm. Wattles understood that this teaching could be difficult for the logical mind to accept. How can thinking create physical results? How can a mental state attract metal coins and paper bills? But consider the evidence that surrounds you. Every manufactured object you can see began as a thought in someone's mind. The chair you sit on, the device you watch this video on, the building that shelters you, all were ideas before they became things. Thought is the first cause, physical manifestation is the effect. Money is no exception to this universal principle. It flows toward those whose thoughts create a space for it and away from those whose thoughts repel it. The practical implication of this truth is staggering. If you have been waiting for money before you begin thinking wealthy thoughts, you have the equation precisely backward. You must first develop the mental asset, the wealth consciousness, and then watch as the physical money rushes to fill the vacuum your consciousness has created. This is not magical thinking. It is the recognition of how creation actually works. The inner always precedes the outer. The cause always comes before the effect. Your mental state is the cause. Your financial state is the effect. Change the cause and the effect must inevitably follow. This is why telling a person without the mental asset to simply work harder or save more is futile advice. They can labor for decades and remain poor because their mental frequency repels the very wealth they work to acquire. Their thoughts of lack, limitation, and impossibility create a force field that pushes money away from them. No matter how many hours they log or how little they spend, the effort is being applied at the wrong level of causation. They are trying to manipulate effects while ignoring causes. They are trying to rearrange shadows while ignoring the objects casting them. Conversely, this teaching explains why certain individuals seem to attract money with almost suspicious ease. They may not work harder than others. Often they work less. They may not be more intelligent, more educated, or more deserving, but they possess the mental asset. Their consciousness vibrates at the frequency of wealth, and money flows to them as naturally as water flows downhill. They are not lucky, they are aligned. They have discovered, whether through instruction or intuition, the certain way that Wattles described, and they are reaping the inevitable rewards of that discovery. You stand now at a crossroads of understanding. You can dismiss this teaching as impractical philosophy and continue waiting for external circumstances to change your financial life, a wait that could extend into eternity. Or you can accept that the masters were pointing toward a genuine truth, a truth that has been validated by countless individuals who rose from poverty to plenty. The choice you make in this moment will determine whether the remainder of this video transforms your relationship with money or merely entertains your mind for a few minutes. I urge you to choose the path of application. Choose to develop your mental asset with the same dedication others give to developing their investment portfolios. The returns will be infinitely greater. Understanding that the mental asset is the true wealth is the foundation upon which everything else we discuss must rest. Without this foundation, the techniques I will share become mere tricks, temporary manipulations that produce inconsistent results. With this foundation, those same techniques become expressions of natural law, reliable methods for allowing your inner wealth to manifest in outer form. Let this truth sink deep into your consciousness. You do not need money to become wealthy. You need to become wealthy in consciousness, and the money will follow. To fully grasp the revolutionary nature of Wattles' teaching, I want you to consider the analogy of a water pump. This simple image will illuminate why most people remain financially struggling despite years of effort, and why a select few seem to generate abundance with almost effortless ease. Picture two people standing in a field during a drought. Both are desperately thirsty. One holds an empty bucket, the other stands beside a pump that reaches deep into the underground aquifer. The person with the bucket runs frantically from place to place, begging others for a few drops of water, hoping to find a puddle left over from the last rain. The person with the pump calmly operates the handle and draws forth an unlimited supply of fresh, clean water. Who would you rather be? Money, like water, flows according to invisible laws. Capital, the accumulated financial resources that most people desperately seek, is essentially a bucket of water. It is a finite container holding a limited quantity of a valuable substance. When you focus all your energy on obtaining capital, on filling your bucket through loans, investments, or windfalls, you are placing your financial future at the mercy of external sources. You become a beggar, dependent on others to share their water with you. And even if you succeed in filling your bucket, you face the constant anxiety of depletion. Buckets leak, buckets get stolen, buckets empty through use. The bucket-focused person lives in perpetual fear of running dry. Wattles teaches an entirely different approach. Rather than running around with an empty bucket begging for drops, he instructs you to build a pump. The mental asset is your pump. It is the mechanism that connects you directly to the infinite underground reservoir of universal supply. When you possess a pump, you do not need a bucket. You do not need to store water anxiously because you can draw fresh water whenever you require it. The pump transforms you from a beggar into a source, from a dependent into a provider. This shift in identity is the foundation of all lasting wealth. Consider the profound difference in psychology between the bucket holder and the pump builder. The bucket holder lives in constant scarcity consciousness. Their attention is perpetually fixed on how much water remains in their bucket, how quickly it is depleting, where they might find more. Every expenditure feels like a loss, every gift an impossible sacrifice. They clutch their bucket with white-knuckled desperation, terrified of the empty bottom they know awaits them. This psychology of scarcity permeates their entire existence, affecting not just their finances, but their relationships, their health, their ability to enjoy the present moment. The pump builder, in contrast, operates from abundance consciousness. They know that beneath their feet lies an inexhaustible supply, accessible whenever they choose to access it. Expenditure does not frighten them because they can always generate more. Generosity comes naturally because giving from an infinite source costs nothing. Their psychology of abundance creates a relaxed, confident approach to life that paradoxically attracts even more resources. People want to do business with them, collaborate with them, support them, because their energy communicates success rather than desperation. Now let us examine what most people do when they decide they want to become wealthy. They look at their empty bucket and devise strategies for filling it. They seek higher-paying jobs, second incomes, investment opportunities, lottery tickets, wealthy spouses. All of these strategies share a common fatal flaw. They are focused on acquiring the effect while ignoring the cause. They are attempting to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom, the hole of scarcity consciousness, without first repairing the leak. Whatever water they manage to gather will inevitably drain away because the fundamental problem remains unaddressed. Wattles' genius was in redirecting attention from the bucket to the pump. He understood that spending years trying to fill a leaky bucket is an exercise in futility. The efficient path, the certain way he described, is to first build the pump and repair the bucket. Once you possess the mechanism for generating unlimited supply and a container capable of holding it, the acquisition of physical resources becomes almost automatic. The water does not have to be chased. It flows naturally toward the pump operator who has positioned themselves correctly. Building the pump requires a fundamental shift in how you think about money. Most people think about money as a thing to be acquired from external sources. The pump builder thinks about money as energy to be generated through internal processes. This shift from acquisition to generation, from external to internal, is the key that unlocks the door to financial freedom. When you understand that you are the source of your wealth, you stop waiting for wealth to come to you. You recognize that it is already within you, waiting to be drawn forth and manifested. The pump analogy also illuminates why financial education, in its conventional form, so often fails to produce results. Traditional financial education teaches you better ways to carry your bucket, more efficient routes to find water sources, more persuasive techniques for convincing others to share their water. It never questions the fundamental bucket-based paradigm. Wattles' teaching goes deeper. It questions the assumption that you need to carry a bucket at all. It points toward a completely different relationship with resources, one based on generation rather than collection. Consider the practical implications of operating from pump consciousness. When a business opportunity arises that requires capital you do not currently possess, the bucket holder sees only impossibility. They look at their empty bucket and conclude that the opportunity is not for them. The pump builder sees the opportunity clearly and knows that the required capital can be generated. They approach the situation with confidence, taking steps to activate their pump and draw forth the needed resources. Often, this confident approach itself attracts investors, partners, or unexpected sources of funding because the world responds to the frequency of abundance. The bucket holder, paralyzed by the appearance of lack, never takes these steps. They wait passively for their bucket to magically fill, for someone to appear and pour resources into their container. They may call this waiting patience or prudence, but Wattles would call it misunderstanding of law. The universe responds to action, to the activated pump, not to passive waiting. The bucket holder's inaction confirms their scarcity frequency and repels the very resources they hope to attract. It is a vicious cycle that can only be broken by a fundamental shift in consciousness. Think about the people you know who seem to attract financial success effortlessly. You may have marveled at their luck, envied their connections, or assumed they possessed some advantage you lack. But observe them more closely. You will find that they think differently about money than those who struggle. They do not operate from bucket consciousness. They approach financial matters with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they can always generate more. This confidence is not arrogance, it is alignment. They have built their pump, and they know how to operate it. The beautiful truth about the pump is that anyone can build one. It does not require special talent, inherited advantage, or fortunate circumstances. It requires only the decision to shift your consciousness from acquisition to generation, from external to internal. The materials for building your pump are thoughts, beliefs, and mental habits, all of which are completely within your control. You may not be able to control the economy, the job market, or the behavior of others, but you have absolute dominion over your own mind. This means you have absolute capacity to build your pump. A bucket can be emptied by a single misfortune, a medical emergency, a market crash, a theft, a lawsuit. Those who have built their entire financial lives around filling and protecting their bucket live in constant vulnerability. But a pump cannot be stolen. It cannot be depleted by use. It remains intact regardless of external circumstances. This is why Wattles taught that the mental asset is the only true security. Those who develop it may experience temporary setbacks, but they can never truly be impoverished because they carry within them the capacity to generate unlimited abundance. I urge you to examine your own relationship with money through the lens of this analogy. Are you currently living as a bucket holder or a pump builder? Do you wake each morning thinking about how to acquire money from external sources? Or do you wake thinking about how to generate value that will inevitably attract resources? The answer to this question reveals your current financial consciousness. And your financial consciousness, more than any external factor, determines your financial future. The good news is that consciousness can be changed. The pump can be built. The transformation from bucket holder to pump builder is available to you right now, right here, through the teachings we are exploring together. Stop begging for buckets. Stop envying those whose buckets appear fuller than yours. Stop exhausting yourself running from source to source, hoping for drops. Turn your attention inward and begin building your pump. The water you seek, the money, the capital, the resources, exists in infinite supply beneath your feet. You do not need to find it. You need only to build the mechanism for accessing it. Wattles has given you the blueprint. The rest of this video will give you the specific techniques. But the decision to build must be yours. Make it now, and your financial life will never be the same. The architecture of wealth generation begins not with action, but with preparation. Specifically, the preparation of your mental state. Before a single dollar can flow into your life through the methods we will explore, you must cultivate the inner soil in which financial abundance can take root. The required state, the fertile ground from which all your wealth will grow, is called resourcefulness. This single quality, properly understood and developed, will prove more valuable to you than an MBA from the finest business school or a contact list filled with billionaires. Resourcefulness is the active expression of the mental asset, the pump in operation, the consciousness that generates solutions rather than excuses. Resourcefulness begins with a fundamental shift in language, and this shift is not merely semantic, it is ontological. There is a phrase that has sabotaged more dreams, aborted more businesses, and created more poverty than perhaps any other combination of words in the English language. That phrase is, "I cannot, because I do not have money." These 7 words, spoken automatically and thoughtlessly by millions every day, slam shut the door to possibility with devastating finality. Each time you utter them, you are not describing reality, you are creating it. You are programming your subconscious mind to accept limitation as fact, and your subconscious, faithful servant that it is, works tirelessly to manifest the limitation you have declared. The resourceful mind never speaks these words. It cannot speak them because it does not think them. When confronted with a challenge that appears to require money it does not possess, the resourceful mind does not collapse into defeat. It does not waste energy lamenting the unfairness of circumstances or envying those with fuller bank accounts. Instead, it immediately pivots to a different question, a question that opens doors rather than closing them. The resourceful mind asks, how can I accomplish this without money? What resources do I have that I have been overlooking? Who might want to help me achieve this goal? What creative approach have I not yet considered? This shift from statement to question is the difference between prison and freedom. A statement like, "I cannot because I do not have money," is a closed circuit. There is nowhere for energy to go, no opening for solutions to enter. A question like, "How can I accomplish this without money?" is an open circuit, an invitation for creative intelligence to flow in with answers. The subconscious mind, which has access to vastly more information and possibility than your conscious mind can process, immediately goes to work on any sincere question you ask it. By changing your habitual statement into a habitual question, you recruit the full power of your deeper mind to your financial cause. The resourceful mind understands that money is only one form of resource, and often not the most important form. Time is a resource. Energy is a resource. Knowledge is a resource. Relationships are a resource. Creativity is a resource. The person who declares bankruptcy of possibility because they lack money has failed to inventory the vast wealth they already possess in other forms. Wattles taught that you already have access to everything you need to begin. The problem is not lack, it is lack of recognition. The resourceful mind develops the capacity to see resources where others see nothing, to find opportunities in what others dismiss as limitations. Consider the difference between two aspiring entrepreneurs. Both want to start a business. Both currently have minimal savings. The first entrepreneur looks at their bank account, concludes they cannot start without capital, and returns to their unfulfilling job to wait for circumstances to change. The second entrepreneur, possessed of a resourceful mind, begins immediately. They start conversations, build relationships, learn skills, create content, offer services, test ideas, all activities that require minimal money but generate massive value. Within months, the second entrepreneur has built something real while the first is still waiting. The difference between them was not opportunity but psychology. The declaration you must make, the mental position you must adopt is this: I will attract the money because I have the vision. Notice the causality embedded in this statement. The vision comes first, the money follows. This is not wishful thinking, but precise understanding of how manifestation works. Money is attracted to vision as iron filings are attracted to a magnet. When you hold a clear, compelling, faith-filled vision of what you intend to create, you generate a magnetic field that draws resources toward you. Without vision, there is nothing for money to be drawn toward. You are an unactivated magnet, lying inert while wealth passes by. This is why developing your vision is not a preliminary exercise to be rushed through on the way to action. Your vision is the core asset, the generator of all subsequent wealth. The clearer your vision, the stronger its magnetic pull. The more faith you invest in your vision, the more rapidly resources accelerate toward it. Time spent clarifying and strengthening your vision is never wasted. It is the most productive work you can do. Many people skip this inner work, eager to get to the real business of making money. They do not realize that without a powerful vision, their actions are like throwing seeds on barren ground. Resourcefulness also means developing an unwavering commitment to finding a way. Not hoping for a way, not wishing for a way, but absolutely knowing that a way exists and committing to its discovery. This commitment changes how you show up in every situation. When you are absolutely committed, you do not accept no as final. You do not interpret obstacles as signs to quit. You understand that every closed door is redirecting you toward an open one, that every apparent setback contains the seed of greater advancement. This persistence is not stubbornness, it is alignment with the truth that solutions always exist for those determined to find them. The universe tests your resourcefulness regularly. It presents you with challenges specifically designed to see whether you will collapse into your old patterns of lack thinking or rise into your new identity as a generator of solutions. These tests are not punishments, but initiations. Each time you pass a test by finding a resourceful solution where you previously would have seen only impossibility, you strengthen your mental asset. You deepen the grooves of abundance thinking in your neural pathways. You prove to yourself and the universe that you are ready for greater resources because you have demonstrated the consciousness to handle them. Consider money as a form of energy that wants to flow toward competent channels. A river does not randomly spread across the landscape. It finds the paths of least resistance, the channels capable of carrying its flow. Money behaves similarly. It flows toward those whose mental channels are open, clear, and capable of directing it productively. Resourcefulness is the quality that opens and clears your channels. It signals to the flow of abundance that you are a worthy destination, that resources directed toward you will be used effectively and multiplied. Without resourcefulness, you are a blocked channel, and the flow of money naturally diverts around you toward more open paths. To cultivate resourcefulness, begin observing your own mental reactions to financial challenges. Notice when you automatically think or speak words of limitation. Notice when you feel the impulse to give up because money seems unavailable. In these moments, pause and deliberately redirect. Ask the opening question. Affirm your capacity to find a way. Take even a small action that moves you toward your goal despite the apparent obstacle. Each of these redirections trains your mind in resourcefulness, building the mental muscle that will eventually become your automatic response. Resourcefulness ultimately expresses itself as a kind of creative confidence, the quiet knowing that no matter what challenge arises, you possess the capacity to meet it. This confidence does not come from having all the answers in advance. It comes from having proven to yourself through repeated experience that you can generate answers when needed. This is why starting before you feel ready is so important. Only through engaging with real challenges can you develop the experiential basis for creative confidence. Waiting until you feel fully resourceful before taking action is a trap that ensures you never develop the very quality you are waiting for. The mental asset we discussed in Part 2 expresses itself through resourcefulness in daily life. A person may understand intellectually that their mind is their mint, but until they begin operating resourcefully, solving problems, finding ways, generating value without requiring external funding, the understanding remains theoretical. Resourcefulness is the bridge between knowledge and power, between insight and income. It is where the philosophy of mind becomes the practice of wealth creation. As you move forward in this video, hold resourcefulness as your primary mental position. Whatever techniques and strategies we discuss will be exponentially more effective when implemented from a resourceful state. Let go of the old identity of someone limited by circumstances and step into the new identity of someone who creates circumstances. Stop saying what you cannot do because you lack funds and start declaring what you will accomplish because you possess vision. This shift, simple as it sounds, is the gateway through which all financial transformation enters your life. The world does not reward those who wait for perfect conditions. It rewards those who create conditions through the power of their resourceful minds. Every fortune that was ever built began in circumstances that could have justified quitting. Every successful entrepreneur faced moments when the money was not there, when the logical course was abandonment. What separated them from the masses who remained poor was resourcefulness, the refusal to accept limitation as final, the determination to find a way when no way was visible. This quality is not genetic. It is not dependent on education or background. It is a choice available to you right now. Make it, and you have taken the first step toward generating capital from nothing. We now arrive at the practical heart of this teaching, the three-step capitalization process that transforms thought into funding. These steps are not arbitrary techniques invented for self-help books. They are the distillation of principles that Wattles identified as the certain way of doing things that produces inevitable results. Understand them deeply, apply them faithfully, and watch as resources begin flowing into your life with a reliability that will astonish you. The first step is learning to use your vision as collateral. In the physical world of banking, when you want to borrow money, you must provide collateral, something of value that secures the loan and gives the lender confidence they will be repaid. Without collateral, banks see you as a risk and deny your request. Most people lacking physical assets to offer as collateral conclude they cannot access capital. But Wattles reveals that a different kind of banking exists, operating according to spiritual rather than physical laws. In this higher economy, your vision serves as collateral, securing the resources you need to bring that vision into manifestation. This is not poetry or metaphor. This is the actual mechanism by which creative intelligence operates. When you form a clear, detailed vision of what you intend to create, you are making a withdrawal request from the universal bank. The clarity of your vision represents the amount you are requesting. The faith with which you hold that vision represents the interest rate you are willing to pay, your commitment to use the advanced resources productively. When both clarity and faith reach sufficient intensity, the universe accepts your vision as valid collateral and begins advancing you the physical resources to build what you have seen. Consider how this works practically. An entrepreneur with a clear vision of a successful business emanates a different frequency than someone with a vague desire to be rich. The clarity acts as a signal, communicating to opportunities, people, and resources that here is someone who knows what they want and is committed to its creation. Potential partners, investors, and customers unconsciously sense this clarity and respond to it. They are not responding to the physical business, which may not yet exist. They are responding to the vision, which exists powerfully in the entrepreneur's consciousness. The faith component is equally crucial. It is not enough to see your goal clearly if you simultaneously doubt its attainment. Doubt is like writing uncertain on your loan application. It signals to the universal bank that you yourself are not confident in your ability to repay. Faith, on the other hand, is your signature on the promissory note, your personal guarantee that you will fulfill your end of the bargain. The universe takes this guarantee seriously. When you hold your vision with absolute, unwavering faith, you are communicating that this is not a wish but a certainty, not a preference but a commitment. To use your vision as collateral, you must first develop a vision worth collateralizing. This means spending significant time in the work of imagination, constructing in your mind a detailed picture of what you intend to manifest. See your business as if it already exists. See your customers, your products, your team, your office. See yourself operating within this creation, feeling the satisfaction of its achievement. The more sensory detail you can include, the more real your vision becomes, and the more powerful its collateral value. A vague vision is like offering vague collateral. It has little securing power. Once your vision is clear, you must hold it with the kind of faith that does not waver when appearances contradict it. This is where most people fail. They form a vision but abandon it the moment they encounter evidence that it is not manifesting. They look at their empty bank account and conclude the vision was unrealistic. But this is precisely when faith is most needed and most powerful. True faith is the ability to hold the vision as more real than current circumstances, to know that the invisible is becoming visible, that the spiritual advance has already been made, even if the physical manifestation has not yet arrived. The second step in the capitalization process is to start with the tool at hand. Wattles articulated this principle with beautiful precision when he wrote that, by the use of the things you have, you will find things you have not. This is a profound truth that contradicts the common belief that you must wait for better resources before you can produce better results. Wattles teaches the opposite. You must use your current resources with such excellence that better resources are attracted to you as a natural consequence. Most people are waiting. They are waiting for the better camera before they start making videos. They are waiting for the larger budget before they launch their marketing. They are waiting for the nicer office before they meet clients. This waiting is a form of avoidance, disguised as prudence. It is the ego's way of protecting itself from failure by never truly attempting. But Wattles exposes this waiting as the very obstacle preventing advancement. The universe does not reward those who wait for perfect conditions. It rewards those who produce excellent results with imperfect conditions. Consider the profound logic underlying this principle. If you are not fully utilizing what you already have, why would the universe give you more? From the universe's perspective, you are demonstrating poor stewardship. You are signaling that additional resources would be wasted on you because you do not know how to maximize the resources already in your possession. But when you take your limited tools and produce extraordinary results with them, you are demonstrating mastery. You are proving that you are ready for more because you have shown what you can do with less. This principle operates with mathematical precision in the attraction of capital. Capital flows to those who are maximizing their current resources because investors, partners, and opportunities are drawn to demonstrated competence. The person who builds something remarkable with nothing has proven something about themselves that the person who builds something mediocre with much can never prove. They have demonstrated the entrepreneurial essence that transforms resources into greater resources. This demonstration has magnetic power. It attracts funding because funding wants to flow toward competent channels. Take inventory right now of the resources you currently possess. You have time, perhaps not unlimited, but you have hours each week that could be redirected toward your vision. You have knowledge accumulated through years of experience, education, and observation. You have relationships, people who know you, trust you, and might support your endeavors if asked. You have creativity, the ability to combine existing elements in new ways. You have energy, physical and mental capacity that can be directed toward productive work. These resources, fully utilized, are sufficient to begin any enterprise. The lack of money is not preventing your start. It is your failure to deploy what you already possess. The rusty tool used perfectly outperforms the shiny tool used poorly. This paradox confounds those who believe resources determine results. Results are determined by consciousness, by the mental state of the one employing the resources. A master chef can create a memorable meal from humble ingredients. A novice cannot create one from the finest ingredients. The difference is not in the ingredients, but in the consciousness of the chef. Similarly, your results are not determined by how much money you have, but by the consciousness you bring to whatever money, time, tools, and relationships you have. Begin today using what you have to its absolute fullest. If you can only afford a smartphone camera, shoot your content with that camera, but apply yourself fully to lighting, composition, and delivery. If you can only manage 1 hour per day for your business, use that hour with complete focus and intensity. If your network is small, treat each person in it with such care and value that they become enthusiastic advocates for your work. This excellent use of the small creates an upward spiral. It attracts slightly more resources, which you then use excellently, which attracts even more. This is how fortunes are built from nothing. The third step is generating the vibration of surplus. This is perhaps the most subtle and most important of the 3 steps, for it addresses the energetic frequency from which all your actions emerge. You cannot attract capital if you vibrate with need. Capital, like all things, is attracted to its own frequency, and the frequency of capital is surplus, abundance, overflow. To attract money, you must become a match to money by radiating the feeling that you already have more than enough. This seems paradoxical when you are staring at an empty bank account, but Wattles insists on this principle because he understood the mechanics of attraction. Need vibrates at a frequency of lack, and lack attracts more lack. When you approach a potential investor, partner, or customer from a state of need, they sense it. Unconsciously, they pull back. Your desperation communicates that you are not a safe place for their resources, that associating with you might drag them into your vortex of scarcity. This is why desperate salespeople repel customers and desperate job seekers repel employers. The vibration of need creates resistance. Surplus vibrates at a completely different frequency. It communicates safety, confidence, and abundance. When you operate from surplus, people are drawn to you. They want to associate with your energy, to be part of your upward momentum. Investors sense that their money will grow with you, not disappear. Partners sense that collaboration will elevate them, not drain them. Customers sense that your product or service comes from a place of genuine value creation, not desperate extraction. The vibration of surplus opens doors that need keeps perpetually closed. How do you generate surplus vibration when your physical circumstances reflect scarcity? This is the alchemy that Wattles teaches. You must manage what you have, however small, with the feeling of a millionaire. If you have $10, do not handle it with anxiety and fear. Handle it with the calm confidence of someone who knows there is more where that came from. Make decisions about that $10 from a state of abundance rather than lack. This does not mean spending recklessly. Quite the opposite. The millionaire manages money wisely because they respect its power, not because they fear its absence. Surplus is first a state of consciousness, and only second, a state of account balance. There are people with millions who vibrate with scarcity, terrified of losing what they have. There are people with almost nothing who vibrate with surplus, confident in their ability to generate whatever they need. The external balance is less important than the internal frequency. And here is the secret that changes everything. The internal frequency determines the external balance. Change the frequency, and the balance must follow. This is law, not hope. To cultivate surplus vibration, practice gratitude for everything you currently have. Gratitude shifts your attention from what is missing to what is present, from lack to abundance. Practice generosity, even in small amounts. Giving from whatever you have, regardless of how small, signals to your subconscious that you have enough to share, which is surplus thinking by definition. Practice speaking and thinking in terms of abundance. Replace phrases like, barely enough with plenty for now. Replace I need with I am attracting. These linguistic shifts may seem superficial, but they reshape your vibrational frequency over time. When these 3 steps are combined, using your vision as collateral, starting with the tool at hand and radiating surplus vibration, you activate the capitalization process that Wattles described. You are no longer waiting for capital, you are generating it. You are no longer hoping someone will fund your dream. You are positioning yourself as an irresistible attractor of funding. The universe, recognizing your alignment with its laws, begins moving resources in your direction, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always inevitably. After you have internalized these steps, a powerful technique becomes available to you for specific situations. When you need to acquire something for your growth, a course, a tool, a service, resist the habit of looking at your bank balance with fear. This fear response comes from bucket consciousness, from the belief that you only have what is currently in your container. Instead, look at the item you need and claim it mentally. See yourself already owning it, already using it, already benefiting from it. Hold this vision with faith, knowing that the means to acquire it will appear. This technique works because you are not trying to make money appear through magical thinking. You are aligning your consciousness with the reality of abundance, which opens channels that scarcity consciousness keeps closed. Often, the means to purchase what you need appears in ways that have nothing to do with your current salary or savings. A new client appears. An unexpected opportunity arises. Someone gifts you the item or offers it at a dramatic discount. The universe has infinite ways to fund your vision once you stop blocking them with doubt and fear. The capitalization process is not a one-time event, but an ongoing way of operating. Each day presents opportunities to use your vision as collateral, to maximize your current resources, and to radiate surplus vibration. Each time you engage these principles, you strengthen your capacity to generate capital on demand. You become someone for whom money is a tool that appears as needed, not a master that dictates what is possible. This is the freedom that Wattles promised to those who learn to do things in the certain way. We now arrive at the moment I foreshadowed at the beginning of this video, the revelation of the capital drain that bleeds wealth faster than you can generate it. Even those who understand the principles we have discussed, even those who are applying the techniques with sincerity, can find themselves mysteriously unable to accumulate resources. Money seems to come in and immediately flow out again, as if their financial vessel has an invisible hole. The reason is almost always one of two fatal mistakes that operate below conscious awareness, sabotaging every effort at wealth creation. The first mistake is the one I promised to reveal, the hook I set at the beginning of our journey together. It is the habitual use of a simple phrase that programs poverty into your subconscious with devastating efficiency. I cannot afford it. These 4 words seem innocent, even responsible. Society teaches us that saying them is a sign of financial maturity, an acknowledgement of limits, a protection against irresponsible spending. But Wattles would tell you that these words are among the most financially destructive sounds a human mouth can make. Every time you utter them, you are closing your pump, shutting down the flow of abundance, and instructing your subconscious mind to reject capital. Understanding why requires returning to the principle that consciousness creates reality. Your subconscious mind does not evaluate the truth or helpfulness of the commands it receives from your conscious mind. It simply accepts and executes. When you declare, I cannot afford this, your subconscious receives a clear instruction. Maintain the state of not being able to afford this. It then works faithfully to manifest and perpetuate that state, filtering out opportunities for increased income, causing you to overlook possibilities for value creation, and keeping you vibrating at a frequency that repels money. You think you are describing your financial reality. You are actually creating it. The frequency of this programming makes it particularly dangerous. For most people, I cannot afford it is not an occasional statement but a reflexive response repeated dozens of times per week. Every store window displaying something beyond current means, every conversation about vacation destinations or new cars, every advertisement for products you desire, each of these triggers the automatic response. Day after day, week after week, year after year, you are drilling the command of lack deeper into your subconscious. You are building fortified neural pathways for poverty that eventually become so strong they feel like permanent features of reality rather than habits of thought. The alternative is not to lie to yourself about your current financial situation or to spend recklessly beyond your means. The alternative is to change your language in a way that keeps the channel of abundance open. Instead of I cannot afford it, say I am calling in the resources for this. This statement acknowledges that the money is not currently present, while refusing to accept that absence as permanent. It keeps your subconscious working on the problem of how to acquire, rather than cementing the reality of cannot. It maintains your surplus vibration even while recognizing current limits. Another powerful replacement is, how can I afford this? This question, unlike the statement, opens a channel for creative intelligence to flow through. Your subconscious, receiving a question rather than a declaration, goes to work finding answers. Often these answers surprise you. Maybe you can afford it through a payment plan. Maybe you can find it used for less. Maybe you can trade skills or services for it. Maybe a new income opportunity will present itself that you would have overlooked if you had closed the matter with cannot. The question keeps possibility alive where the statement kills it. Make no mistake, this linguistic shift requires vigilance and practice. The "I cannot afford it" response is deeply conditioned, and it will try to reassert itself at every opportunity. You must catch yourself in the moment of speaking or thinking these words and consciously redirect. Over time, the new pattern will become automatic, but initially, you must be the guardian of your own language. Consider this guardianship as protection of your most valuable asset, your wealth-generating consciousness. You would not let someone drill holes in your savings account. Do not let careless words drill holes in your mind. The second fatal mistake is equally common and equally devastating: despising the small start. This mistake often afflicts people who have developed big visions, who can see clearly where they want to go but cannot accept where they currently are. They refuse to start small because they want to start big. They will not begin with a modest first step because they can only imagine a grand leap. And so, they remain motionless, waiting for conditions to match their vision, while those with less ambitious visions but more humble willingness to begin pass them by. Wattles directly addresses this error when he teaches that the beginning contains the seed of the end. This is not mere encouragement, but a statement of how growth actually works. An oak tree does not burst fully formed from the ground. It develops gradually from a tiny acorn, adding one ring of growth per year, becoming mighty through the patient accumulation of small increments. Fortunes are built the same way. The billion-dollar company was once a single transaction. The real estate empire was once one property. The investment portfolio was once a single share. Despising the small start is despising the only possible start. Pride often underlies this mistake. We want our first effort to impress others, to look significant, to match our internal sense of destiny. Starting small feels embarrassing when we believe we are destined for greatness. But this pride is a trap laid by the ego to keep us permanently potential rather than actual. The ego fears failure, and not starting is the ultimate insurance against visible failure. By convincing you that only a big start is worthy of you, the ego ensures you never start at all, and therefore never risk the exposure of real-world feedback. The masters whose legacies we study did not begin at their ending points. They began at the beginning with small steps taken in faith. They endured the obscurity and apparent insignificance of early stages because they understood what those stages represented. Not the destination, but the journey toward it. They had the humility to be beginners, the patience to grow gradually, the wisdom to recognize that capital grows but does not explode. They did not despise their small starts. They embraced them as the necessary foundation for everything that would follow. If you find yourself unable to start because you cannot start big enough to satisfy your vision, recognize this as a form of resistance that must be overcome. Lower your standards for your first step while raising them for your long-term vision. Accept that beginning will be unglamorous, perhaps even embarrassing. Do it anyway. Start the business in your garage. Launch the website before it looks professional. Make the first sale even if it is to a friend for a discount. These humble beginnings are not compromises of your vision. They are the only path to its fulfillment. Capital grows through the compound effect of small actions taken consistently over time. A small start today, improved upon tomorrow, expanded the day after, eventually becomes the impressive enterprise you envision. But the expansion cannot happen without the start. By refusing to begin small, you are refusing to begin at all, and by refusing to begin, you ensure that your vision remains forever a pleasant fantasy rather than a lived reality. The capital drain of despising small starts is absolute. It drains not just current capital, but all future capital that could have grown from present seeds. Against the backdrop of these fatal mistakes, let us hear the reassurance of the master himself. Wattles wrote with bold confidence that if you are in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you have no capital, you can get capital. If you have no talent, you can develop talent. These statements are not polite encouragement, but declarations of law. Wattles understood that the principles he was teaching, when properly applied, have the power to transform any starting condition into any desired outcome. Notice what Wattles is not saying. He is not saying that transformation is easy or instantaneous. He is not saying that you can avoid all discomfort or effort. He is saying that transformation is possible, that no current limitation need be permanent. This assurance should sink deep into your consciousness, because it directly counters the voice of doubt that whispers you are stuck, you cannot change, your circumstances have determined your destiny. That voice is lying. Your circumstances are not destiny. They are a current snapshot of a continuously changing picture, and you hold the camera. The phrase "by doing things in the certain way" appears repeatedly in Wattles' work because he wants you to understand that there is a method, a reliable approach that produces reliable results. This is not a universe of random chance where some get lucky and others suffer. This is an orderly universe governed by laws that work consistently for anyone who learns to apply them. The certain way is not a secret held by the elite. It is a principle available to any student willing to learn. You are that student. These teachings are equipping you with the certain way. Take particular comfort in Wattles' assurance that if you have no capital, you can get capital. This directly addresses the fear that has kept millions trapped in poverty. The fear that without money to begin, you can never begin, and without beginning, you can never have money. Wattles cuts through this circular trap with a simple declaration: the capital can be gotten. It will not appear magically while you sit passive, but it will appear as you apply the principles, build your mental asset, and take action from resourcefulness. The how of its appearing is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is the inner work and the outer action. The universe handles the details. If you are currently in a job or business that does not align with your vision, do not despair. Wattles says you can get into the right business. This may require transition time, skill development, or gradual repositioning, but it is possible. The certain way can be applied from wherever you currently stand. You need not wait for ideal circumstances to begin applying it. In fact, you cannot wait because the application itself creates the ideal circumstances. Start where you are, with what you have, and let the principles carry you toward where you want to be. The confidence with which Wattles makes these statements should become your own confidence. He is not speculating or hoping. He is speaking from understanding of how the universe works. When you align with universal law supports you. When you operate in the certain way, certain results follow. This is not faith in the sense of belief without evidence. This is faith in the sense of trust in verified principles. The evidence is the testimony of countless individuals who applied these principles and watched their circumstances transform. You are about to become another piece of that evidence. Carry Wattles' assurance with you as armor against discouragement. When the path seems blocked, when the capital seems unavailable, when your current situation seems to contradict your vision, remember his words. If you have no capital, you can get capital. This is not just motivation, it is truth. The capital exists, the opportunities exist, the resources exist. Your task is to become the person to whom they naturally flow, and you become that person through the inner work we have been discussing. The outer acquisition is simply the effect of the inner transformation. Let these tips from the master fortify your resolve. You are not attempting the impossible. You are not reaching for something beyond human capacity. You are learning to work with laws that have always existed and always worked for those who discovered them. Wattles discovered them, lived them, and transmitted them. Now they are yours. What you do with them will determine whether you remain among those who believe the lie or join those who know the truth. That capital can be generated from nothing by those who understand the certain way. Everything we have discussed moves from theory to tangible proof when we examine the stories of those who embodied these principles. often without knowing the vocabulary Wattles used to describe them. Consider the founding story of Airbnb, a company now valued in the tens of billions of dollars, built by founders who began with nothing but debt and desperation. Their story is a living demonstration of the mental asset in action, proving that the principles we have discussed are not philosophical abstractions, but reliable mechanisms for wealth creation. Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, the founders of Airbnb, found themselves in a situation that would have paralyzed most people. They were struggling to pay rent in San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in the world. They had maxed out their credit cards. They had no savings, no investors, and no obvious path forward. By conventional thinking, they had no business trying to start a company. They should have abandoned their dreams and found stable jobs. But they possessed something more valuable than capital. They possessed the mental asset. What did this mental asset look like in practice? First, they had a clear vision. They could see a world where people rented out spare rooms and air mattresses to travelers, creating a new kind of hospitality. This vision was not vague. It was specific enough that they could describe it, plan for it, and communicate it to others. Second, they had faith in this vision even when it seemed absurd. Friends and family thought they were crazy. Professional investors passed on their pitch dozens of times. But Chesky and Gebbia held their vision with the unwavering certainty that it would manifest. Their faith was tested severely. At one point, they were so broke that they resorted to selling novelty cereal boxes they had designed around the 2008 presidential election. Obama O's and Captain McCain's. This was not their vision. This was survival. But notice what they did not do. They did not give up. They did not abandon their vision because they temporarily lacked the capital to pursue it. They found a creative way to survive while keeping their vision alive. This is resourcefulness in its purest form, the refusal to accept impossibility, the determination to find a way. The cereal boxes raised about $30,000, not enough to build a company, but enough to keep going. More importantly, this hustle demonstrated something to the universe and to potential investors. It showed that these founders would do whatever it took to succeed. It proved their commitment, their creativity, and their resilience. When they eventually pitched to the legendary startup accelerator Y Combinator, the investors were impressed not by the cereal boxes, but by what the cereal boxes represented: founders who could generate resources from nothing. Examine this story through the lens of Wattles' teachings. Chesky and Gebbia used their vision as collateral, holding it with such faith that they were willing to endure years of poverty and rejection to see it realized. They started with the tools at hand: air mattresses, a website they built themselves, the cramped apartment they could barely afford. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They used imperfect conditions perfectly. They radiated surplus even when they had nothing, projecting confidence to investors and early users that attracted more confidence. The capital that eventually flowed to Airbnb, hundreds of millions, then billions of dollars, did not appear despite the founders having no money. It appeared because the founders demonstrated the consciousness that attracts capital. The money did not make the business. The mind made the money. The mental asset, that wealth-generating vibration they cultivated through vision, faith, and action, created a vacuum that capital rushed to fill. If they had waited until they had funding to start, they never would have attracted funding. The starting is what attracted the funding. This pattern repeats throughout entrepreneurial history. The companies that become iconic almost always began with founders who had more vision than capital. Apple started in a garage. Amazon started in a basement. Google started in a dorm room. These founders did not use their lack of capital as an excuse for inaction. They used whatever they had with such excellence that more resources were magnetically drawn to them. They proved Wattles' principle that by the use of the things you have, you will find things you have not. The story of Airbnb also demonstrates the danger of the fatal mistakes we discussed. Imagine if Chesky and Gebbia had said, "We cannot afford to build this company," and accepted that as final. Their response to lack of capital would have ensured permanent lack of capital. Imagine if they had despised the small start, refusing to begin with air mattresses because they envisioned luxury hotels. Their pride would have prevented them from beginning at all. Instead, they avoided these mistakes. They never accepted financial limitation as permanent fact. They embraced their humble beginning as the seed of their eventual empire. When you look at the billionaires who built Airbnb, do not see people who were lucky or specially advantaged. See people who understood and applied the principles we have discussed, whether or not they knew Wattles' name. See people who developed their mental asset before they had physical assets. See people who held their vision as collateral, used their tools perfectly, and radiated surplus even from scarcity. These are not superhuman qualities. These are learnable, practicable ways of thinking and being. You have access to the same principles they applied. The question is whether you will apply them. Let the Airbnb story serve as proof that starting with zero is not only possible but perhaps preferable. Those who begin with nothing and build everything develop a strength and wisdom that those who inherit wealth never acquire. They know in their bones that they are the source of their abundance, that no external force can take away what they have created because they possess the capacity to create it again. This knowledge is the ultimate security, the unshakable foundation that no market crash or economic downturn can disturb. When you build your fortune using the mental asset, you become not just wealthy, but invulnerable. Let me share with you a story that illustrates these principles operating in the life of an ordinary person, not a famous entrepreneur, but someone whose name you will never know, whose fortune will never make headlines. This anonymity makes the story more valuable, not less, because it proves that the principles work for anyone, not just the extraordinary few. There was a man who burned with the desire to open a small shop selling handcrafted leather goods. He had learned the craft from his father and grandfather, and his work was beautiful. Everyone who saw it said so. But saying so was all they did, because no one knew about him, and he had no shop where customers could find him. He approached banks for loans, but his lack of collateral and business history made him a poor candidate. He asked family members for investment, but they had little to spare. By conventional measures, his dream was impossible. He had no capital and no clear path to obtaining it. But this man understood, perhaps intuitively, the principles that Wattles articulated. Instead of accepting defeat, he asked a different question. How can I start selling my goods without a shop? The answer was simple and humble. He could sell them door to door. This was not his vision. His vision was a beautiful storefront with his name above the door, but he understood that despising the small start would mean no start at all. So he packed samples of his work into a bag and began walking through neighborhoods, knocking on doors, showing his craft to anyone who would look. His attitude during these humble sales calls is what made the difference. He did not approach potential customers with the desperate energy of someone who needed to make a sale to survive. He approached them as if he were already successful, as if he were doing them a favor by offering early access to goods that would soon be available in his beautiful shop. He treated every person like royalty, taking time to explain the craftsmanship, the history, the care that went into each piece. He radiated surplus, not financially, for he had almost nothing, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. One day, he knocked on the door of a man who happened to be a successful businessman looking for unique gifts for corporate clients. This businessman was so impressed by the quality of the leather goods that he placed a significant order. But he was even more impressed by the attitude of the craftsman, his confidence, his generosity of spirit, his obvious passion. During their conversation, the businessman asked about the craftsman's plans. When he heard about the dream of a shop and the inability to secure funding, the businessman made an offer. He would provide the capital to open the shop in exchange for a partnership in the business. Within months, the craftsman had his storefront. Within years, he had a thriving enterprise. The capital that had seemed impossible to obtain had been hiding in his daily actions, waiting to be activated by the right combination of vision, faith, and surplus vibration. Notice that the capital did not come from a bank vault or an investment fund. It came from a person who was attracted by the craftsman's energy and actions. The universe used the businessman as the channel, but it was the craftsman's consciousness that opened the channel. This story illustrates every principle we have discussed. The craftsman used his vision as collateral, holding it with faith even when circumstances denied its possibility. He started with the tool at hand, using the skill he possessed and the legs that could carry him door to door. He radiated surplus by treating each customer with the generosity of someone who had plenty, not the desperation of someone in need. He avoided the fatal mistakes, never saying "I cannot afford a shop" and never refusing to begin because door-to-door selling was beneath his vision. The capital was never the obstacle. The obstacle was always the potential for wrong thinking, for succumbing to the lie that it takes money to make money. By refusing to accept that lie, by applying the principles with consistency and faith, the craftsman proved what Wattles taught, that any person from any starting point can generate the capital needed to fulfill their vision. The only variable is whether they will do things in the certain way. You may feel that your situation is different, that your obstacles are greater, that the principles might work for others but cannot work for you. This feeling is the voice of limitation trying to maintain its grip on your consciousness. Reject it. The craftsman could have generated endless reasons why his situation was uniquely difficult, why the principles did not apply to him. Instead, he applied them and watched them work. Your situation is not different in kind. It is only different in detail. The principles are universal. They work for anyone who works them. We have traveled together through the depths of Wattles' teaching on the generation of capital from nothing, and now we arrive at the moment of synthesis. Let the separate principles we have discussed crystallize into a single, unified understanding that you can carry forward from this moment. The truth that Wattles taught, the truth that every self-made fortune confirms, is simply this: no money is never the real problem. When you examine any situation of apparent financial limitation, you will find that the limitation is not actually about money. It is about vision. It is about faith. It is about resourcefulness. These inequalities are the causes. Money is the effect. A person with clear vision and strong faith will always find the money to pursue their aims. A person without vision and faith will never have enough money, even if they inherit millions, because their consciousness will find ways to return them to their natural state of lack. The inner condition always determines the outer circumstance. Fix the mind, and the pockets fill themselves. This is not mystical hand-waving, but precise description of how causation works in this universe. Your mind is the mint that prints your money. Your imagination is the currency printer. Your faith is the gold standard backing your personal economy. When these inner resources are properly developed and deployed, the outer resources flow with the same reliability that rivers flow downhill. There is no mystery to wealth creation. There is only ignorance of the laws that govern it, and that ignorance has been dispelled for you today. The mental asset you have been learning about is not an abstract concept, but a practical tool. It is the pump we discussed, the mechanism that connects you to infinite supply. Building this pump is the most important financial investment you will ever make, because it pays returns forever. Unlike physical capital, which can be lost, the mental asset grows stronger with use. Unlike external investments, which depend on market conditions, the mental asset depends only on your continued cultivation of it. You carry your fortune in your consciousness, invulnerable and inexhaustible. Let this synthesis settle into your understanding. You are already wealthy. The wealth exists in potential, waiting to be actualized through the application of principles. Starting conditions do not determine ending conditions. Consciousness does. The lie that it takes money to make money is exposed as the limiting belief it always was. You now possess the knowledge that dissolves the limitation. What remains is for you to apply what you know and watch the results manifest. You are the bank. Read that sentence again, and let its full implications unfold in your awareness. You are not someone who goes to banks, hat in hand, begging for permission to pursue your dreams. You are the source of your own funding, the issuer of your own currency, the sovereign authority over your own financial destiny. The external banks that denied you, the investors who rejected you, the circumstances that seemed to block you, none of these have any power over you except the power you give them by believing in their authority. Your imagination is the currency printer, operating 24 hours a day, producing the visions that will become your future wealth. Every time you clearly imagine your desired outcome and hold that image with faith, you are printing money in the only mint that matters, the mint of consciousness. This currency is accepted everywhere in the universe because it is the only real currency. Physical money is just a symbol, a temporary token representing the true wealth of mind. When you understand this, you stop chasing symbols and start creating substance. Your faith is the gold standard, the backing that gives your mental currency its value. Without faith, your visions are just daydreams, pleasant but powerless. With faith, your visions become blueprints that the universe reads and executes. The gold standard was powerful because it backed paper currency with something real. Your faith backs your imagination with something even more real, your absolute conviction that what you see within must manifest without. This conviction is not optional if you want results. It is the essential ingredient that transforms thought into thing. Stop looking for investors outside of you and become the investment. When you invest your time, energy, and attention in developing your mental asset, you are making the highest yield investment possible. No stock, no real estate, no business opportunity can match the return on investing in your own consciousness. Because once your consciousness is developed, it will generate all the stocks, real estate, and business opportunities you could ever want. The developed consciousness is the goose that lays golden eggs. Chasing individual golden eggs while neglecting the goose is the strategy of the perpetually poor. Start where you are. This is not a consolation for those who wish they were somewhere else. It is recognition that where you are is perfect for beginning. The universe has placed you exactly where you need to be, to learn what you need to learn, and build what you need to build. Your current circumstances, however challenging they appear, contain everything necessary for your next step. Fighting against your starting point is wasted energy. Embracing it and moving forward from it is the only path to your destination. Use what you have. Inventory your resources, your skills, your knowledge, your relationships, your time, and deploy them fully. Do not wait for more or better resources. The person who maximizes limited resources receives more resources as a natural consequence of their demonstrated stewardship. The universe is watching how you handle what you have, and it rewards excellent handling with increased supply. Handle the little you have with the care and confidence of a millionaire, and you are on your way to becoming one. Watch as the world throws its resources at your feet, begging to be part of your vision. This is not exaggeration but description of what happens when you fully embody the principles we have discussed. When your vision is clear, your faith is strong, your resourcefulness is active, and your vibration is surplus, you become magnetic. Opportunities seek you out. People want to help you. Money flows toward you. The world, recognizing the light of creative consciousness burning within you, wants to contribute fuel to your fire. Your job is not to chase resources, but to become so aligned that resources chase you. I challenge you now to prove these principles in your own life through direct application. I call it the Resource Magnet Challenge, and it will demonstrate to you and to the universe that you are ready for greater capital. Here is how it works. For 1 full week, banish the thought "I need money." Every time it arises, replace it with "I am generating value." This simple substitution interrupts the pattern of lack thinking and replaces it with the frequency of abundance. You are not denying your desire for money. You are refusing to vibrate with need while affirming your capacity to attract. "I am generating value" is a true statement. As you go about your week, you are constantly generating value through your thoughts, your actions, your interactions. By focusing on this truth, you align your consciousness with the flow of abundance. During this week, pick one project, a goal, a business idea, a creative endeavor, and take a step toward it that requires $0 but high effort. The $0 requirement forces you to be resourceful, to find ways to progress without the crutch of spending. The high-effort requirement ensures you are demonstrating commitment, not just dabbling. This combination of zero cost and high effort is a powerful signal to the universe that you are serious, that you are ready to receive capital because you have proven you can make progress without it. This action proves your readiness for capital by demonstrating the very qualities that attract capital. Investors do not fund those who wait for funding before acting. They fund those who are already in motion, already creating, already demonstrating the drive and resourcefulness that turns investment into returns. By taking significant action without significant funding, you are proving you possess these qualities. You are making yourself into the kind of channel that capital naturally flows toward. At the end of the week, observe what has shifted. Pay attention to synchronicities, opportunities, and changes in your own psychology. Often, the effects of such a challenge are subtle at first. A new idea, an unexpected conversation, a shift in how you feel about your financial future. These subtle shifts are the early indicators of deeper transformation. They are the first cracks in the wall of limitation that will eventually crumble completely. If you are ready to stop making excuses and start making money from nothing, the path is clear. Subscribe to the Master's Legacy and activate the notification bell so you receive every teaching we release. Each video we create is another tool for your transformation, another piece of the wisdom that will rebuild your relationship with wealth from the foundation up. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, someone stuck in the lie that capital is required before they can begin. Your sharing is an act of surplus, and it will return to you multiplied. The masters whose wisdom we explore on this channel did not hoard their insights. They transmitted them freely, knowing that truth multiplies when shared. You have received their transmission through me today. Now it is your turn to embody what you have learned, to become living proof that capital can be generated from consciousness, that money can be created from nothing but the properly aligned mind. You are the source. You have always been the source. Now you know it. Go forth and generate.